Hello world, my name is Joey, also known as LA or West, depending on what circles you frequent. This is the most recent episode of Explain Yourself. Explain Yourself is a session where I sit down and explain the themes behind videos and everything else that has to do with the song that I've created. So today we're talking about the song Dead End. It is a song. Well, let me just read you my concept notes, rather. Title, Dead End. Concept, the pinnacle of childhood war is manhood death. The two guys who stuck out to me the most in middle school and early high school are dead from the lifestyle that I long to be a part of. So, yeah, I'm telling two stories of two young men who succumbed to the streets. And we'll get started. The aesthetics for this first verse is dark, it's nighttime, almost like it's a forbidden subject. Like talking about the dead end nature of gangbanging coming from where we've come from is like taboo. Like we all know it don't lead nowhere, but we don't do anything about it. Hearts are a recurring theme for this first verse and the video throughout, because we're dealing with a heart issue. So you'll see a lot of little hearts throughout here. The statue from the first verse, there's a statue in each verse. The statue from the first verse is the man with the glass heart. It's in the Dallas Design District. And it's an iron blue collar worker with a glowing heart that beats like our own. So this heart inside the statue actually pulses as if it has a pulse. And it means we're dealing with heart issues. That was the significance of it being in this video. And we all have heart issues, from white collar to blue collar. So that's the cliff notes on the first verse. We'll break it down verse by verse. But let's get started. Produced by Urban Nerd Beats. Shout out to him or her. We're in the Design District in Dallas. There was a lot of traffic that night. I remember it being either a Mavs game or a Stars game.
Yeah, whatever. Gang banging is a dead end. Just look at all these dead friends. Gang banging is a dead end. Just look at all these dead men. Yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't say that my boy Derek from Divine Digital shot and edited the video. Gangbanging is a dead end. Look at all our dead friends. Look at all these dead men. Oh, starting next time, we're gonna include the drip. You know I like to make clothes and whatnot. This is something I probably won't ever wear because I grew up in Altadena, Denver Lanes, but I'm not from the set. So when the Denver Nuggets made these red jerseys, I said, oh man, I got to. So Pasadena 91001 is the area code. It's split halfway between Pasadena and Altadena for all you MapQuest junkies out there. We got a rose on the heart, 91001. Denver is the set I grew up in. I will probably never wear this in public because 9 times out of 10, if I run across somebody, they're going to think I'm trying to rep the actual set instead of the side of town. So, you know, I don't want to put myself in a dead end situation. But I did have some matching dunks that I did with them. Yeah. You know I do custom shoes. All right, man. Now that we're all situated, let's get to it. Let us adjust the mic first. Then let us get to it.
The homie Wilson used to bang low inside of the lanes. One of the chillest bloods from back in the day. Back at Marshall Fundamental, I was getting picked on. I always kept it in my heart that he left me alone.
So if you can't tell, this first verse, I took the cadence from Kanye's verse on Drive Slow. Now, Wilson Pierre was a guy that I knew from Marshall Fundamental in Pasadena. If you don't know, it's a grade 6 through 12. So I actually didn't go to Elliott Middle School. I went directly to Marshall from Edison Elementary. And Wilson, we knew he was from Low End Lanes. That's one of the sections. And he was a chill dude. He was quiet, he was chill. He had hands, though. And I always just remember, like, I don't know if he talked crazy about me behind my back, but to my face, he was always chill and we was always cool. So.
Black Chucks, Black Pro Club, way long, and walked around the school with the same smug face on. Back when Killer Kevin Fubu was the man, he would hang with them, so we all knew he was banging with them. Back.
So, Marshall Fundamental, my era, the names I remember being the names, it was Fubu, it was Killer Kev, it was Rob Maxey, and those guys were all older than us. And Wilson was hanging with them, like hanging with them, like holding his own with them. So, you know, we knew he was banging by that.
When we was stuffing sneakers, he was fading Armenians. And the toughest essay heard a rumor that he beat him. This was like 03, right before.
So, back when we were scuffing sneakers, when we were playing basketball and football and sweating and doing all kind of crazy stuff, he was out there getting it in, fading people. Where Marshall is a strong Armenian presence there. So it can feel at times like you're not on your side of town. Well, we weren't on our side of town, but you're on their side of town. Not that, you know, it's us versus them, but that is where a lot of the Armenian population stays. And with that, you know, being young men, you get in fights. And I remember never hearing he lost a fight, whether it was the Armenians, whether it was Ricardo, who was, you know, our toughest essay. Like, he was getting it in. And this was like 2003, right before the game came out. And if you knew the climate of LA County back then, that's right around that was before Game, before Wayne, before the blood thing got popular. So everybody was a Crip. Bloods were outnumbered. So if you called yourself a blood, you had to be a blood all the time at the drop of a hat and never pick the hat back up. So this was that time, and he was holding it down like that.
For the game, back when if you say you blood, you better not be bluffing. Pasadena, Pony, Robinson Park players that love to catch head-ups and go be crazy.
So Pasadena Ponies was the Pee Wee football team at Robinson Park, which is the Lanes Park. You know what I'm saying? So he was in Pasadena Pony. I was a Pasadena Panther. But I knew he was a Pasadena Pony because he used to always talk about it. And, you know, from Robinson Park, love to catch head-ups and quote B. Brazy. B. Brazy is like the Denver Lanes legendary rapper. And, you know, catching head-ups and going body, pause. Going body is a fight where you're not allowed to hit from the neck up. That's what we called it in L.A. County, or at least, yeah, in L.A. County, in Pasadena, Watts, Gardena, everywhere I've lived, it was called going body. That's something you do with your homeboys. Don't hit me in my face, but we get it in. So that's the kind of cats he was and they were.
We fell out of touch, I heard he full-time banging. Ran into him one summer, even had him a baby.
So one year I I didn't even run into him. I drove past him. He was with his, appeared to be his girl and a baby. Could have been his, could have been not his. But it was cool. It was like, dang, that's Wilson. And, he was going his way and I'm going my way. And it was like, dang, I wish we could have stopped to talk.
Back then, if you banged real hard, you was the Pasadena version of baby. And I was just a virgin of baby. One of the reasons I looked up to him crazy, I heard he hit this house party one.
So, back then, if you bang real hard, you was the Pasadena version of baby. That's like a copy and almost copy and paste of a Kanye line from his Drive Slow verse. And he was talking about how, you were the number one stunner if you had certain things back in Chicago. Well, in Pasadena, in that time, if you banged real hard, like if you was a gangster, especially from Lanes, like, you were our version of the number one stunner. And when I wrote this, Little Baby and Da Baby were popular too, so it could have been any baby, just pick one. That's the kind of point.
And the Crips was there, but he held his own ground cause he still ain't scared. But the LA party's gon' always flip. Next rumor, they stood over him and emptied the clip. Man, aside.
So, I am 90% sure that the rumor of him getting shot and killed at a party is true. If it's not true, praise God. But, so I moved to Texas before this incident happened. So that's the reason why in my song it's not confirmed. And then you don't want to just be confirming street stuff in your songs like that for no reason. It just gives people a reason to poke around and make assumptions that don't add up. But, so yeah, my boy died. He got killed. Yeah.
I'm thinking he was always cool. I always thought I wanna be like him. Years later, left the city and I moved down south. It's been Dallas bounty hunter since then. Man.
So that's self-explanatory. I did move to the south. It wasn't years after he passed. It was years after we met. I know I said years later, and then I moved down south. And it's been, something since then.
Years later, I be wondering if the culture took the life of my friend. If you respect my gangster, then respect this game. It's harder to live the more work you put in. Gang banging is a dead end.
All right, so I'm wondering if the culture took the life of my friend. The Southern California gang culture is embedded in you from birth if you're in those environments. And our willingness to uphold that culture has killed a lot of us in situations where we either shouldn't have been there or should have left. But ego and the pride of this war that we're in constantly changes or had changed that. So sometimes I wonder if that culture was different, would my guys still be alive? But the last line, if you respect my gangster, if you respect the experience I've had in the streets and the wisdom I got from it, then understand this wisdom. It's harder to get out the more work you put in. So the more you put in work It's like putting a backpack on and putting bricks in a backpack. You're putting work in, you're putting work in, you're putting work in. Sooner or later, you're gonna collapse from the weight of the work you put in them streets. And my boy put in work, but gang banging is a dead end.
Look at all these dead friends. Yeah. Gang banging.
So we now have switched over to the second statue, and the aesthetics are really, well, the outfit choice is terrible. I don't know, man. Listen, I don't know what I had going. Now that Pasadena hoodie is my favorite hoodie. I got it from my boy G Marcus. The bandana under the trucker hat with the sweatpants, and I might even have white socks on. It's just, yeah, it's bad. Not in a Michael Jackson bad way. It's bad. The baby statue is called Babyfoot by Idan Zareski. I hope I said that right. For me, it was paying homage to males who fit the shoes of men but remain babies in their head and heart. The culture of gangbanging equals for kids. So for me, doing this verse in front of this statue, maybe not this verse, but doing this song in front of this statue, it kind of represents like men. And I've been this man before where it's like, you need to, you're wearing a man's shoes because you're over 18, but you're still a baby because you're not mature. And, gangbanging is a teenager thing. It was started by teens. It's fueled by teens and immature men. So that's what the statue reminds me of.
It's a dead end.
And it's ironic that the statue is blue. I'm not saying that the guy we're talking about is representative of this statue, because I don't think he is, based on the story I knew. But it's ironic that I'm going to be rapping about a crib now, and the statue's blue, and the statue before, when I was rapping about a blood, was red, and I never noticed that till just now.
Yeah. Just look at all these dead men. Yeah. I still remember the year he was the new kid, and I ain't know much about him, but we knew he was crip, and probably always thought he.
This is bad. Look at this outfit, bro. I just left the house. Either way, we always knew he was the new kid. I thought this guy just wanted to be tough, because who goes all the way to Marshall to be a crip? Like, you would have to be from Pasadena, Altadena, to know how far that is from all the schools you can go to instead. So, as a child, I was like, this guy just wants to be tough. But who knows?
Just wanted tough guy badges. Why else would he be nicknamed C Madness? But either way he went, he was cool for the most part. I had him in the class and you could tell he for sure smart. Ironically, he sat right next to Pierre, and they would argue back and forth but never take it from there. And
so, C Madness, Chris Walker, as he should be known, was a guy who went by C Madness, and I met him at Marshall. He was in my health class, Miss Davenport, and ironically, him and Wilson sat next to each other. Wilson's last name is Pierre, so that's what that is. And they would argue. They would kind of go back and forth a little bit, but nothing crazy came out of it that I knew of. But yeah, they would bicker a bit. He's a blood, he's a Crip, so yeah. They kept it cool, though.
after banging took his toll down in Southern California, an older Chris Walker moved down to Arizona. Years later came back and he got him a spot. Every morning he commute commute with his mom to the job. Every afternoon he picked up his daughter from school. It's been a while now. Homie probably thought it was cool. Till the afternoon he tried to grab a burger and chill. Breaking 6 o'clock news on Tadina McHill.
All right, so uh, it goes from Miss Davenport's classroom, and it fast forwards like 10 years, maybe longer. Um, so Chris grew up, decided, I need to get away from what I'm doing and moved to Arizona. When he felt like he was gone for a long enough process of time, to my understanding from what I've read and watched, he came back home and established himself as a man. Got a job, rode with his mom to work every day, picked up his daughter from school every day. One day he decided to sit and chill and get a burger in Altadena, and somebody who had beef with him, or probably had beef with him from the past or something, came by and murdered him. For what?
The cold fact about it is there ain't no clock. They say a op is a op and they ain't gon' stop. Life.
We move on in life, but the people who have embraced this war aren't always willing to accept the fact that you don't fight for your specific army anymore, and will kill you or hurt you and harm you because of it.
They give you second chances just to learn from your sin, but when you're gone, you never get a chance to do it again. And I ain't even saying he was living in sin.
I love this shot. I love this shot because it's like, look at that baby's eyes. It's like, I don't want to grow up. And look at me, it's like, bro, this is a dead end, bro. Like, stand up. And, I ain't saying he was living in sin. I said life gives you chances to learn from your sin. But once you don't have life, you don't have a chance to learn from your sin. And I'm not saying he was living in sin, but gang banging, the sin sown there became harvested as his death. And we can move on as men, but don't forget the seeds you've sown and the fact that somebody might be looking to collect on that.
But the game don't stop whether or not you still in. If you're getting out the hood, then respect this game. Move forward, bro, but never forget, gang banging is a dead end.
It was important here to get interviews of his dad speaking and his mom there. Just his parents, Southern California parents, who experienced the greatest loss that you could experience here, outside of losing your own life, is that of your child. So it was important to get his perspective.
I'm sorry for the way I reacted to him joining the gang, and that I loved him and we reconciled. And he was working and, we thought getting his life together, but that was still that pull on him. And after a few years, I feel like, okay, I can come back now, okay, I'm not in that life anymore. But I guess some people never let it go.
So that song comes from a project that's coming out called For the Streets. And it's supposed to be sobering. These are guys that I not lived with, but I grew up with and saw on a day-to-day basis. Um, Guys who I wanted to be like, guys who were like guys that I wanted to be like, and they're not here because that lifestyle that we valued so much as kids harvested murder as adults. So, for the gangsters out there, active, not active, understand that it only ends up in two places, dead or in jail. You can't even make it out rapping no more, because they are snitching on each other and lying and fake as the streets are. So, find yourself, find your center, find your peace. Stand on that and find Christ and let him stand where you can. I love y'all. I know this is a somber way to end Explain Yourself, but gang banging is a dead end. Look at all these dead friends. Gang banging is a dead end. Look at all these dead men. Love y'all.